In analyzing this Frank Zane morph, it becomes apparent that it's really not about making Zane better, although that could be a possibility. It's about making him competitive through this imagery against Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1970s. And that primarily what is missing in Zane is bicep development, although you can see, in the after version of the morph, the forearms are developed a little more, lats are a little wider, thighs are a little wider, calves are a little bigger, but primarily it's the biceps. And that's only from a bodybuilding perspective that the biceps would have to be that big. That was a world Joe Weider created. Prior to Joe Weider plopping Larry Scott on the scene and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sergio Oliva, etc., none of the actors in the kind of sword and sorcery movies of the late 50s, 1960s, like Steve Reeves or Gordon Scott or Reg Park, maybe Reg Park to some degree, but Brad Harris or just sculpture throughout history. And it was never just bicep dominant physiques. That was Joe Weider's world, which everyone listening accepts. I mean, of course, that's the way it is. Well, it really wasn't always like that throughout thousands of years of history. I mean, of course, having a peak on a bicep is one thing, but having the defining factor in the whole body disproportionately large biceps or arms was never the standard. What this morph really represents is what it would take for Zane to defeat Schwarzenegger, which shows the influence of Schwarzenegger, because who cares? But that's the whole paradigm that was established by Weider, is that this guy Schwarzenegger stood out so much, he created a new look that had never been seen before. And so what this morph really boils down to is what Zane would have to look like to defeat that new look. And it's mainly bicep, just like Schwarzenegger. Take away Schwarzenegger's bicep, put Zane's biceps on Schwarzenegger, Zane would be dominant. But of course the morph shows a little bit more than the bicep development increasing. It's a little bit proportional all around, although it's dominant on the bicep. So leave a comment. Is the morphing improving Zane, or is it just an alternative? Okay, there's Zane, a little bigger, but it's comparable before. And do you think that Schwarzenegger created a standard that everybody else seems to have to kind of live up to, although that personally worked for him? Is that, or should that be a standard? And of course, it's understandable that this is all bodybuilding contest related. It's not necessarily applicable to the real world.